The vastness of space lit up with another explosion as two massive warships exchanged fire. Their energy shields flickered with each hit, creating beautiful but deadly light shows across the battlefield. This was just another day in a war that had lasted 3 centuries. Commander James watched the tactical display from the Unity Alliance scout ship Pathfinder. His mission was simple: find new resources to fuel the never-ending war against the Imperial Dominion. But what he discovered would change the course of history forever. "Sir, we've detected an unusual signal," reported Officer Mike from his scanning station. "It's coming from a star system we haven't explored yet." James moved to the main view screen, his experienced eyes studying the readings. After fighting in this war for 20 years, he had learned to trust his instincts. Something about this signal was different. "Show me the system," he ordered. The screen filled with images of a blue-green planet, the third from its sun. What caught James's attention wasn't the planet's beauty, but the thousands of artificial satellites orbiting it and the radio waves bouncing through space. "Life signs?" he asked. "Billions, sir, and they're using technology. Not as advanced as ours, but they're definitely not primitives." James sat back in his command chair, thinking about the war that had consumed his entire life. The Unity Alliance and the Imperial Dominion had fought each other to a standstill. Their weapons were so advanced that battles could last for months. Their shields were so strong that destroying a single warship could take weeks of constant bombardment. He remembered his last battle, where it took 3 months to capture a single space station. Both sides used complex AI systems to predict every move, making battles feel more like slow-motion chess games than actual combat. "Send a message to Alliance Command," James decided. "Mark it urgent." Within hours, the response came. The Alliance was desperate for any advantage in the war. A new civilization, even a less advanced one, could tip the balance. As the Pathfinder moved closer to Earth, James studied the information they gathered. These humans were strange. Their history was filled with wars, but unlike the carefully planned, long-lasting battles of the Alliance and Dominion, human wars were quick and brutal. "Look at this," Officer Tom said, pointing to his screen. They had something called World War II that lasted only 6 years. "They call that a long war." James leaned forward, interested. "How many died?" "Over 60 million. The bridge crew fell silent. In the current galactic war, it took 50 years to reach that many casualties. These humans accomplished it in 6 years with primitive weapons." "There's more," Tom continued. "They have a military doctrine called shock and awe. They believe in winning wars quickly through overwhelming force and surprise attacks. It's nothing like how we fight." James watched the planet grow larger on their screen. The more they learned about Earth, the more fascinated he became. While the Alliance and Dominion fought their careful, calculated war, these humans had developed completely different ways of thinking about combat. "They're detecting us," Mike announced. "Their primitive radar systems just picked up our ship." "Good," James replied. "Let them see us. It's time for first contact." As the Pathfinder descended through Earth's atmosphere, James couldn't help but smile. The Alliance Council would probably dismiss these humans as primitives. They would see the lack of energy shields and plasma weapons as weakness. But James knew better. He had fought in enough battles to recognize that something new was about to happen. These humans, with their quick wars and aggressive tactics, might be exactly what the galaxy needed. "Send the standard greeting package," he ordered. "Let's meet our new friends." As the ship landed in an empty field, James watched military vehicles approaching their position. They moved quickly and decisively, taking up tactical positions around the ship. Even in this first contact situation, the humans showed their military efficiency. "Sir," Mike said quietly, "I think we just changed the course of the war." James nodded. "The question is, are we ready for what comes next?" The war that had lasted 300 years was about to meet something it had never encountered before: human ingenuity. and nothing would ever be the same. The United Nations emergency session was unlike any in human history. Representatives from every nation sat in stunned silence as they watched the hologram floating above the speaker's podium. It showed the galaxy, but not as they had known it. Thousands of stars glowed red, marking worlds destroyed in the 300-year war. Commander James stood before them, his tall, blue-skinned figure a stark reminder that humanity was no longer alone. Next to him stood General Robert, the highest-ranking military officer chosen to represent Earth in these discussions. "Your world stands at a crossroads," James said, his translator converting his words into perfect English. "The war between the Unity Alliance and the Imperial Dominion has consumed half the galaxy. We need your help." Whispers filled the chamber. The idea that advanced aliens needed help from Earth seemed almost laughable. "Help?" General Robert asked, voicing what everyone thought. "Your ships can travel faster than light. Your weapons use plasma. Your shields can stop nuclear bombs. What could we possibly offer?" James pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show a battle in space. Two massive ships exchanged fire for what seemed like hours, their shields absorbing every hit. "This is how we fight," James explained. "Our technology is so advanced that battles have become slow, predictable games of attrition. Both sides use AI to calculate every move, every counter-move. Nothing surprises anyone anymore." He paused the hologram. "But then we found your historical records." The image changed to show footage from Earth's wars. Tanks rolling across deserts, aircraft carriers launching jets, submarines lurking beneath the waves. The UN members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "In 6 years of what you called World War II, you caused more change and destruction than we cause in 50 years of fighting. Your wars are fast, decisive, and unpredictable. You achieve in hours what takes us months." General Roberts stood straighter. "You're saying our primitive warfare interests you?" "Primitive?" James smiled. "No, different. Creative. Unpredictable. The Alliance has spent 3 days studying your military history. We were shocked. You developed tactics we never imagined. You think in ways our AI cannot predict." The hologram showed more Earth battles, but now with alien analysis overlaid. It highlighted things humans took for granted: surprise attacks, feints, guerrilla warfare, and rapid deployment strategies. "In 300 years, James continued, no one has ever tried what you humans call a blitzkrieg or shock and awe. Our eye says such tactics are too risky, too wasteful. But they work, don't they?" The room was silent now, every person understanding the implications. "If Earth joins the Alliance," James said, "we will share our technology with you. In return, we need your military minds, your unpredictability, your human way of warfare." General Robert walked to the hologram, studying the battlefield displays. "And if we refuse? The war will eventually reach Earth. The Imperial Dominion doesn't ask for allies. They take." The UN Council erupted in discussion. Some wanted nothing to do with an alien war. Others saw opportunity. A few feared the consequences of refusal. James waited patiently until General Robert raised his hand for silence. "You're telling us," Robert said slowly, "that with your technology and our tactics, we could end this war." "We believe so, yes. Your species has a saying: think outside the box. In 300 years of war, we've built a very large box. We need someone to show us the way out." General Robert turned to face the UN Assembly. Every person in the room knew this was humanity's moment. They could hide and hope the war never reached Earth, or they could step onto the galactic stage and show the universe what humans could do. "We'll need time to discuss this," Robert said finally. James nodded. "Of course, but not too much time. The Dominion moves closer every day." As the UN session adjourned for emergency discussions, James watched the humans file out. He had studied their history carefully. Once these people made up their minds, They acted with shocking speed and determination. The real question was the galaxy ready for human warfare? 3 days after the UN meeting, Earth's top military strategists gathered at a secret underground facility in the mountains. The room buzzed with energy as officers from different countries studied the alien battle footage playing on multiple screens. General Roberts stood at the main display, watching a space battle that had lasted 2 months. Beside him, Commander James answered questions from the assembled team. "So your ships just sit there and shoot at each other?" asked Colonel Bill, a veteran tank commander. His face showed clear disbelief. "Our AI systems calculate the perfect attack patterns," James explained. "The enemy's AI calculates the perfect defense. It becomes a game of slowly wearing down shields." "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard," muttered Major Tony from the Air Force. He pointed at the screen. "Why doesn't anyone just go around and hit them from behind?" James blinked in surprise. "The AI says flanking maneuvers waste too much fuel for minimal tactical advantage." The room fell silent. Then several officers started laughing. "Your eye," General Roberts said slowly, "has turned space warfare into a head-on shooting match. No surprise attacks. No hit-and-run tactics. Both sides have the same basic AI logic," James admitted. "It's been this way for 300 years. Major Tony walked to a different screen showing an Imperial Dominion fleet formation. "Look at this. They arrange their ships in perfect geometric patterns. It's like they want to be predictable." More officers gathered around, pointing out things that seemed obvious to them, but had never occurred to the aliens. They saw dozens of weaknesses, hundreds of missed opportunities. "What about electronic warfare?" asked Captain Mark, a submarine warfare expert. "Jamming their communications, creating false signals." James looked confused. "But our computers would detect." "That's your problem right there," General Robert interrupted. "You trust your computers too much. Humans know computers can be fooled, hacked, or confused. We plan for that." The general turned to the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the most advanced military technology in the galaxy, being used in the most basic way possible. These aliens have forgotten the art of war. They let their machines do their thinking." He walked to a large map showing Alliance and Dominion territories. "They fight like they're playing chess, every move calculated, every response predicted. But humans," he smiled, "we flip the board over and punch our opponent in the face." The room erupted in laughter, but there was truth in his words. Humans had learned warfare the hard way, through blood and sacrifice. They knew that sometimes the best tactic was the one your enemy thought was too stupid to try. "Commander James," General Roberts said, "we've seen enough. Your war has lasted 300 years because both sides fight exactly the same way. You've turned battles into mathematical equations." James nodded slowly. "And you think you can do better?" "We know we can. Humanity has something your eye can't understand: creativity. We think in ways your computers can't predict because sometimes we don't even know what we're going to do until we do it." The general pointed to Earth's gathered military leaders. "Give us your technology, and we'll show you how to really fight a war. Not with perfect calculations, but with surprise, deception, and overwhelming force." James looked around the room, seeing the confidence in every face. These humans weren't impressed by alien technology. They saw it as a tool, nothing more. And they were ready to show the galaxy how to use that tool in ways no one had imagined. "The Alliance Council will want a battle plan," James said. General Roberts' smile grew wider. "Oh, we'll give them a battle plan, and it will end this war faster than anyone thinks possible." As the officers began their detailed analysis, James watched with growing amazement. These humans weren't just studying the war. They were completely rethinking it. For the first time in 300 years, someone was about to change the rules of space combat. The Imperial Dominion wouldn't know what hit them. 1 month after Earth agreed to join the war, the Nevada desert buzzed with activity. A massive testing facility stretched for miles across the sand, filled with a strange mix of human and alien technology. Here, Earth's military forces were learning to combine their tactics with Alliance weapons. General Robert watched from an observation tower as a regular Earth tank, now equipped with an alien shield generator, rolled across the testing ground. Behind it, soldiers in modified combat suits practiced with plasma rifles. "Your people learn quickly," Commander James said, standing beside him. "Most species take years to adapt to our technology." "We don't have years," Robert replied. "And humans are good at learning new ways to fight." Below them, the tank suddenly disappeared from view, its new cloaking device working perfectly. A moment later, it reappeared behind the target and fired. The shell, enhanced with alien technology, punched through a test shield that would have taken an Alliance ship hours to penetrate. "Impossible," James whispered. "Our AI said shields couldn't be broken that quickly." "Your AI thinks like a computer," Major Tony said, walking into the observation room. "We added a simple electromagnetic pulse to our shells. The shield spent so much energy stopping the EMP, it couldn't stop the shell itself." More tests continued across the facility. Human fighter jets, now capable of spaceflight, practiced hit and run attacks. Special forces teams trained with personal teleporters, appearing inside shielded areas that the aliens had always considered impenetrable. "Look there," Robert pointed to another testing area. A submarine, modified with Alliance tech, was practicing in a massive water tank. "Your people never thought to use water in space battles, did you?" James shook his head. "Water in space? Why would we?" "Because it freezes instantly," Tony explained. "Spray it in front of enemy sensors, and suddenly they're trying to shoot through a cloud of ice crystals. Simple physics, but your AI never considered it." The testing continued day and night. Earth's military forces worked tirelessly, combining their primitive weapons with alien technology in ways that shocked their Alliance advisors. In another part of the facility, computer experts were having fun with the Alliance AI systems. They found ways to feed false data to enemy sensors, create ghost ships that didn't exist, and even trick Imperial targeting systems into shooting at their own vessels. "This is wrong," an Alliance technical advisor protested, watching the chaos. "Combat should be orderly, predictable." "That's why you've been fighting for 300 years, Robert said. "Real war isn't orderly. It's chaos. And humans are very, very good at chaos." By the end of the month, Earth's forces were ready. They had turned Alliance technology into something new, something unpredictable. Regular soldiers now carried weapons that combined simple gunpowder with plasma energy. Tanks could teleport short distances. Fighter planes could switch between air and space combat in seconds. But most importantly, they had trained their people to think differently than the aliens. While Alliance forces relied on AI and perfect formations, human forces practiced random attacks, fake retreats, and surprise strikes. "Time to show the Council what we've done," Robert said, looking at the transformed army before him. "Are your people ready for this, Commander James?" James watched as another impossible test succeeded, with human forces breaking through defenses that Alliance engineers had considered unbeatable. "No," he admitted, "but I don't think the Imperial Dominion is ready either. You've changed everything we thought we knew about warfare." "We haven't changed anything," Robert corrected him. "We just remembered what war really is. It's not about having the best technology or the most perfect plan. It's about surprising your enemy, hitting them where they least expect it, and hitting them hard." As the sun set over the desert facility, Earth's new army prepared for their first real battle. They had taken the best technology in the galaxy and turned it into something the aliens never imagined. The long war was about to meet human warfare, and nothing would ever be the same. The Alliance Council chamber fell silent as General Robert finished explaining Earth's battle plan. The huge circular room, filled with representatives from 100 alien worlds, remained quiet for several long moments. Then the chamber exploded with voices. Madness, shouted one counselor, his tentacles waving in agitation. You want to attack 12 Imperial command centers at once. With only 30 ships, another added. It's suicide. General Roberts stood calmly at the center of the room, the holographic map of Imperial space floating behind him. Commander James stood beside him, trying to hide his smile. For 300 years, Roberts said loudly, silencing the room, you've fought this war the same way. Big fleets, long battles, everyone following their eyes' perfect predictions. How's that working out for you? More silence. The war had destroyed thousands of worlds and killed billions. Everyone knew this. Our plan is simple, Robert continued, pointing to the map. Small, fast strike teams. Hit multiple targets at once. No AI predictions, no perfect formations. Just rapid, overwhelming force where they least expect it. But the Imperial defenses, one counselor began, are designed to fight your kind of war. Robert interrupted. Not ours. We've studied their defensive patterns. They're too perfect, too predictable. He pressed a button, and the map zoomed in on one Imperial command center. Look here, their patrol patterns never change. Their sensors always scan the same areas. They never expect anything unusual because their AI tells them what to expect. Major Tony stepped forward, pointing to different sectors. We'll hit them with modified Earth tactics, things their eye has never seen and can't predict. The hologram showed human ships, much smaller than standard Alliance vessels, appearing from unexpected directions. Some would hide in gas clouds, others would use old Earth submarine tactics in asteroid fields. While their AI is trying to understand what's happening, Tony explained, we'll already be inside their defense perimeter. They won't know what hit them until it's too late. Impossible, an Alliance military advisor declared. Our simulations show. Your simulations are the problem, Robert cut in. You rely too much on computers telling you what's possible. Humans prefer to try the impossible and see what happens. He showed them footage from the Earth training exercises, Alliance technology combined with human tactics, creating warfare styles no one had seen before. Ships appearing where they shouldn't be able to go. Weapons working in ways the AI said were impossible. This is not how war is fought, protested another counselor. No, James spoke up, surprising everyone. This is not how you fight war, but look around you. 300 years of fighting your way. And what has it achieved? These humans offer us something new, something unpredictable. Robert nodded to James, then addressed the council again. We don't need your entire fleet. We don't need months of preparation. We need 30 ships, crews trained our way, and 6 hours. 6 hours. The room erupted again. 6 hours, Robert confirmed. That's how long it will take to hit all 12 command centers. The Imperial Dominion expects long, drawn-out battles. They position their forces to fight wars that last months. They won't be ready for an enemy that moves fast and hits hard. The council chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. For 3 centuries, they had fought a slow, grinding war of attrition. Now these humans promise to end it in hours. And if you fail? Asked the council leader. Then you've lost 30 ships and can go back to fighting your way, Robert answered. But we won't fail. Humanity has spent its entire history learning to win against superior forces. Now you've given us the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Trust me, we know what to do with it. The council debated for another hour, but in the end, they agreed. They had nothing to lose and everything to gain. As they left the chamber, James turned to Robert. 6 hours. Really? Robert smiled. Maybe less. The Imperial Dominion is about to learn why you should never let humans get their hands on advanced technology. We tend to get creative with it. The plan was set. The galaxy was about to witness warfare, humanity style. The Imperial Command Center's sensors detected nothing unusual. Its massive defense fleet maintained perfect formation, just as it had for the past 50 years. The AI systems monitored every approaching vessel, calculated every possible threat, and found nothing to worry about. That was their first mistake. All ships, execute attack plan Earth. General Roberts' voice crackled through the secure channel. Remember your training and give them hell. 30 ships, smaller than any warship the Imperial Dominion had ever faced, suddenly appeared from seemingly impossible locations. 5 emerged from a nearby asteroid field, moving like Earth submarines hunting their prey. 3 more burst out of a gas cloud, their modified shields handling the pressure in ways the Imperial eye had deemed impossible. "What is this?" the Imperial commander demanded, watching unknown ship signatures appear on his screens. The Alliance never attacks like this. Before his AI could calculate a response, the human ships opened fire. But they didn't use standard plasma weapons. Instead, they launched modified Earth missiles, simple projectiles surrounded by plasma fields. When the Imperial shields activated to stop the plasma, the physical missiles passed right through. "Shields are stable," an Imperial officer reported. "But we're taking damage." How? More human ships appeared, seemingly teleporting short distances by using modified Alliance jump drives in ways no one had thought possible. They didn't maintain formation. They didn't follow predictable patterns. Each ship moved independently, creating chaos that the Imperial eye couldn't process. "Their attack makes no sense," the Imperial commander shouted. "Where is their fleet formation? Where are their support ships?" On the bridge of the lead attack ship, Major Tony grinned. "That's right," he muttered. "Keep trying to find a pattern. Keep waiting for us to fight your way." The human ships launched their next attack. Massive clouds of frozen water crystals spread through space, confusing Imperial sensors. Through this chaos, Earth fighters, modified for space combat, streaked toward their targets. The Imperial eye, programmed for large-scale fleet battles, couldn't track the small, fast-moving fighters. By the time it identified them as threats, they had already pierced the defensive line. "Launch the drones," Robert ordered. Thousands of small, unmanned vehicles, Earth drone technology combined with Alliance systems, swarmed out of the larger ships. They transmitted conflicting signals, creating ghost ships on Imperial scanners. The enemy's targeting computers tried to track hundreds of false targets while the real threats slipped through. "This is impossible." The Imperial commander watched his perfect defenses crumble. "They're not following any known combat doctrine." Inside the command center, alarms blared as human forces breached the outer defenses. Special forces teams, using personal teleporters, appeared inside secured areas. They moved fast, struck hard, and vanished before the security teams could respond. "Sir," an Imperial officer reported, panic in his voice, "we're getting similar reports from 11 other command centers. They're all under attack." The commander stared at his tactical display in horror. In just 2 hours, these unknown ships had achieved what the Alliance couldn't do in 3 centuries. His perfect defenses, his predictable patterns, had become a weakness. "Surrender," General Roberts' voice came through all channels. "You have 30 seconds to lower your shields and power down your weapons. After that, we stop being nice." The Imperial commander looked at his ruined defenses, his confused eye, and his terrified crew. In 2 hours, everything he knew about warfare had been proven wrong. "These humans," he whispered, "they fight like madmen." 20 seconds, Robert's voice warned. Across space, at 12 different command centers, the same scene played out. Imperial forces, trained for long, predictable battles, found themselves overwhelmed by speed and chaos. 10 seconds. The Imperial commander gave the order. Shields dropped. Weapons powered down. 300 years of war, ended by an enemy that refused to follow the rules. On his bridge, General Robert checked his watch and smiled. 4 hours, 17 minutes. Looks like we overestimated how long this would take. The galaxy was about to learn a valuable lesson. Never let humans plan your wars. 1 week after the attack that ended a 300-year war, the Alliance Council chamber was fuller than ever before. Representatives from both the Alliance and the former Imperial Dominion gathered to witness the formal peace treaty signing. But everyone's attention was focused on the humans standing in the center of the room. General Roberts stood quietly as the council leader spoke. Commander James stood beside him, still amazed by what had happened. In just 4 hours and 17 minutes, the council leader announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. These humans accomplished what we could not do in 3 centuries. They have changed everything we thought we knew about warfare. The Imperial High Commander, now a prisoner of war, stepped forward to speak. We never stood a chance, he admitted. Our AI systems were useless against them. They didn't fight like a civilized species. They fought like humans, Robert finished for him. We fought like humans. Murmurs filled the chamber as holographic displays showed footage from the attacks. 30 ships, using tactics no one had seen before, had crushed 12 of the most heavily defended positions in the galaxy. Our analysts are still trying to understand how you did it, an Alliance military expert said. Your ships moved in ways our computers said were impossible. You used our technology in ways we never imagined. Robert smiled. That's because we didn't ask the computers what was possible. We just did what needed to be done. The council leader raised his hands for silence. The galaxy owes humanity a debt we can never repay. But we must ask, what happens now? Major Tony, standing near the back, stepped forward with a datapad. We analyzed both Alliance and Imperial military strategies. You both relied too much on AI and perfect formations. You forgot the most important rule of warfare. And what rule is that? The Imperial commander asked. The enemy always gets a vote, Tony replied. You can't predict everything. Sometimes you have to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Humanity learned this through thousands of years of warfare. We learned it the hard way. The council leader nodded slowly. And now you will teach us. We will, Robert confirmed. Earth will establish training centers. We'll show your forces how to think independently, how to fight without relying entirely on computers. But more importantly, he paused, looking around the room. We'll teach you how to keep peace. Surprise rippled through the chamber. Peace? Someone asked. But you're so good at war. We're good at war precisely because we hate it so much, Robert explained. Earth's history taught us that war should be fast, decisive, and rare. A galaxy where battles last hundreds of years. That's not war. That's mutual suicide. James stepped forward. The Council has appointed Earth to lead a new peacekeeping force. Small, fast, highly trained teams ready to respond to any threat. No more centuries-long wars. No more waiting for AI to calculate perfect battle plans. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The galaxy was changing. The old ways of predictable, endless warfare were over. Some of you think we won because we're primitive, Robert said. But we won because we remember what you forgot. War is chaos, and you can't solve chaos with computers alone. You need creativity, adaptability, and the human touch. As the peace treaty was signed, Robert looked out at the gathered representatives of 100 worlds. In just 1 week, humanity had gone from an unknown species to the galaxy's peacekeepers. Was it worth it? James asked quietly. Joining our war? Robert watched as former enemies shook hands, as allied species began planning a future without endless conflict. He thought about the training centers Earth would build, the lessons they would teach, the peace they would keep. Ask me in 100 years, he replied. But I think we just gave the galaxy something it desperately needed. What's that? A reminder that sometimes the best technology isn't a computer or a weapon. Robert smiled. Sometimes it's the human spirit. The war was over. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity had found its place among the stars, not just as warriors, but as teachers of both war and peace.